Hi, and welcome to the Great Swamp National Wildlife Refuge. My name is Jonathan Rosenberg. I'm the Visitor Services Manager here at the Great Swamp, which is part of the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, their National Wildlife Refuge system. Our primary mission here at the refuge is wildlife and wildlife habitat. We do have endangered species on the refuge, so we do utilize the Endangered Species Act to manage our endangered species on the refuge. Today, you would normally be here in person, taking a walk at the Wildlife Observation Center, but due to COVID-19, we're going to give you the next best thing, which is a tour by our wonderful volunteers who do most of our tours at the Wildlife Observation Center. So we are here right now at the Visitor Center, and you'll be taking a tour going down and up to the Wildlife Observation Center on Long Hill Road.
Good morning. Welcome to the Great Swamp International Airport. What? I thought this was the Great Swamp National Wildlife Refuge, and it is. But back in 1960, there was an effort made to make this place an airport. And in 1960, the community rallied, raised $1 million, bought 2,800 acres, and donated it to the federal government so that this could be the start of the National Wildlife Refuge, which it did become. There's a great grassroots effort to establish this, and if you want to go to the visitor center, you can see a nice exhibit that describes it. We're very proud of that. It's a very proud beginning for our refuge. Now, the refuge here is made up of two parts. The management area, which is managed by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and which the WOC, the Wildlife Observation Center, is a part of. So we can sort of peek in and see what's behind this management area, and that's what we'll be doing today. The other part is the wilderness area, and that area is the most federally protected land that we can have. And that there are trails there where you can walk, but generally it's wilderness only. We leave it for the wildlife. Today we're hoping to see some wildlife, so come with me. We are at the Sportsman's Blind Boardwalk on a hot summer morning, looking at the eastern painted turtles. Eastern painted turtles are the most widespread turtle in North America. They live in ponds, lakes, and anywhere where there's slow-moving or still water, with plenty of vegetation and a soft bottom of mud. That soft bottom is where they spend their winter protected. Turtles are omnivores. They eat plants and animals. Lots of aquatic plants. If you watch them, you can probably see them eating sometime. And small insects. They are called painted turtles because they have colors of red and yellow, which almost looks like they've been painted on them. And it's a nice contrast with the black or greenish brown upper shell that they have. Very attractive turtle. I don't know if you can hear that bullfrog in the background. Back to the turtles. They spend a lot of time sunning themselves or basking on logs, and this serves several purposes for them. One, it warms up their muscles so that they can move more quickly. It aids in speeding up their digestion, and it probably helps keep their skin healthy. Think of the hours they spend in that murky water. The sun probably helps maintain some healthy tissue for them. So that is it for the eastern painted turtles. Enjoy them. They're one of our favorites here at the Great Swamp. We are here walking towards the Chandler S. Robbins viewing platform looking at the duckweed in the water and the other aquatic plants. Duckweed is the smallest flowering plant in the world and serves as excellent food for turtles and for ducks. It's like oatmeal for those baby ducks, highly digestible, very nutritious. Now I would like to show you this beautiful expanse of cattail. Cattail are very important for holding the moisture in the earth. It's sort of like the swamp is a sponge. It holds onto the water and gives water where it's needed when times get dry. One of the great functions of the swamp. So the cattail is an important part of that. I'd like to show you the white fluff that's on top of the cattail. That serves as bedding for bird nests, and also for Native Americans would use that to line their papoose for their babies. You see, back in the olden days, we relied on plants much more to take care of ourselves and our babies, and we still do. This is a beautiful specimen of a shagbark hickory tree. There are few trees that offer as much value as the shagbark hickory to animals. When the tree becomes mature, it starts to open up its bark into shaggy long strips, hence the name shagbark. The adult bats will rest during the day under these strips so they can get some energy ready for a full night ahead of activity. The hickory nuts that are produced by the tree are extremely nutritious. Native Americans used these extensively in their diet, and in colonial America, these were collected by the bushel. Animals, of course, eat tons of these. What's interesting is that probably as a defense mechanism, when the nuts are ready, are mature, that is when the tree starts to produce these shaggy strips, possibly to keep the animals from being able to get up there and eat all those yummy nuts.
All right, we're checking this box. We know bluebirds were in it. And sure enough, we have 2 bluebird eggs and 1 bluebird hatchling. So they're in the process of hatching. And you'll notice there are no shells. Any shell is immediately eaten by the female or taken away from the box. They have an odor which could attract a predator.
At the refuge, there are many signs of wildlife, even if they're not right in front of you. For example, we can see that these mushrooms have clearly been eaten, possibly by a chipmunk or a squirrel or even a deer. Remnant pieces of nuts tell a similar story. These are the outer shells of hickory nuts. Hickory nuts are produced by the shagbark hickory tree. And not only mammals, but birds enjoy them. Wood ducks and wild turkeys enjoy a lunch of hickory nuts. And acorns are another nut. Here is an intact acorn. And these are broken up shells and the tops of the acorn. Acorns are an energy-rich source of food that are eaten even by larger mammals, such as foxes and bears. Acorns are produced by the oak tree. Lots of things to see on the ground at the Great Swamp. Another sign of wildlife can be seen in a dead log tree. The woodpeckers will start eating, picking their strong bills and using their long sticky tongues to extract all the insects that are living in this dead tree. Now, in the Great Swamp, we leave trees where they are because a dead tree supports wildlife enormously with all the insects that are in it. The insects are decomposing the tree, or helping, and the birds derive a lot of meals out of eating those insects. Welcome to the Chandler S. Robbins Memorial Viewing Platform. This was built by Friends of the Great Swamp volunteers and donated by the Robbins family in memory of Mr. Robbins, a very well-known ornithologist who worked for many years at the Fish and Wildlife Service. I recommend that you look him up and learn about all the contributions that he made. The idea here is that people with disabilities can come close to the water at a peaceful, quiet setting and enjoy nature. We are standing on the upper level of the Robbins Memorial Viewing Platform. The lower and the upper levels were completed in October 2019. Take a look at this beautiful view. There are tall grasses, plenty of water. This is an important place for birds during spring and fall migrations. They can come down, have a rest, and find food such as insects, seeds, and vegetation. This helps the birds to refuel before they continue on their migration routes. This is a wood duck box. We're going to discuss wood ducks. Wood ducks live in forested areas, wooded swamps, and other forested areas where there is water available to them. Wood ducks are highly adapted to this habitat. They have slim bodies, so they can nest in tree cavities, and they have big eyes, so they can see and look out for limbs and branches as they fly through the forest canopy. Wood ducks are primarily plant eaters, vegetarian, but so they eat a lot of plants, especially aquatic plants, but they will also eat snails, even salamanders. Wood ducks are now living in these wood duck boxes. This is an adaptation that man has provided for them. The wood ducks in the late 1800s were in decline, and because of sound wildlife management practices, they are now in strong populations. One of the reasons for this are the duck boxes that we provide. They also, the government put through the Migratory Bird Treaty Act of 1918, which regulates their hunting. One of the outstanding features of the wood duck is the striking beauty of the male wood duck, also known as the drake. He has a crown or a crested head with iridescent purples, greens, and blues. His facial patterns are very unique with white bands in different spots, and he has a bright red eye. You will always stop and look at a wood duck if you see them, if you see him. The female duck, known as the hen, is a bit more drab in comparison, but that's intentional because she wants to camouflage well with the environment when she is nesting and taking care of her babies.
There are a great variety of birds that visit the Great Swamp during migration, and one of the smallest and most interesting is the ruby-throated hummingbird. The ruby-throated hummingbird spends the winter in Central America as far south as Panama, and then comes north, often flying 500 miles across the Gulf of Mexico in one flight to reach areas on the East Coast, including the Great Swamp. We're very fortunate to have a number of breeding hummingbirds at the Great Swamp. Would you like to see what a nest looks like? The nests are incredibly tiny. This is a model of a nest, and it's made of lichen and spider webs, and the eggs inside are about the size of a Tic Tac. We're fortunate to have a hummingbird tracker volunteer who often is able to find nests. In fact, 2 years ago, he found a nest in that tree way up there at 25 feet, which is a pretty amazing thing to do. Recently, we found nests in another area, and I was able to get some video and still pictures of the babies, and I hope you enjoy them.
The buttonbush plant is a distinctive summer plant that grows in the refuge. Its habitat is wetlands, and it lives a long time. I love this plant. It looks like a pincushion or something from outer space. The buttonbush produces much nectar that both insects and hummingbirds enjoy, and many species of birds eat the seeds. Now, the buttonbush, the name comes from the round buttons that the colonial women used in their dresses. They would get the buttons made out of other materials, but they looked like that shape. They would use a cloth loop to keep their dresses in place with a round button, hence the name. Thank you for joining us on our walk today at the Great Swamp National Wildlife Refuge Wildlife Observation Center. I hope you enjoyed it. It is one of my very favorite places, a treasure in New Jersey. We hope you'll be able to come in person and enjoy it here by yourselves. Bring your friends, bring your family, and do visit our website,